Welcome to Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Spencer and Larry, and we're going to be talking about another episode of The Stand, episode number 5, titled Fear and Loathing in New Vegas. How original of a title is that? uh, so, here we go.
We're just going to
It's
talk for 2 hours about Lloyd.
we're going to definitely talk about Lloyd right now, in fact. Look, we've complained almost every week to some degree. It's a frustrating show because there are things I legitimately like about it, but then there are the things that drag it down, and it's just getting worse and worse. So, yeah, we get to New Vegas, and Lloyd, we see what he's up to. Lloyd, the right hand of Randall Flagg, and Larry, I know you have a lot to say. Go for it.
Well, yeah, I do. I'm just like he's just so trashy and I shouldn't have the exact same problems with Lloyd that I have with the Joker and Suicide Squad because he's essentially that character and they've messed him up in that way. And it's just like we were saying before, it's just Lloyd is so dumb and so incompetent that I guess in this version they decided to make it like, oh, he's sort of a patsy, and Randall Flagg is really running things. But just to be his right hand to run the day-to-day operations and everything, you'd expect him to be a little more competent than what he is. He seems like a complete dolt, but he can be trashy, but he can be competent about it.
He's also underwritten. He's barely on screen, really, when you really look at it. And when he is on screen, he doesn't really make an impact. He barely controls the scenes he's in. And I don't know if, I guess it's the script. It feels like it's the script's fault. He's supposed to, like you said, he's supposed to be a big deal, and he just doesn't. It doesn't feel that way.
He's not really even. Yeah, he's not really the focus. He's not really the focus of any episode since he was introduced. And I don't know what.
I was going to say he's my kindred spirit.
Like deep down inside your Lloyd.
Yeah, man.
And moving attached to Lloyd, we had, and this is my biggest complaint of the episode. And I think they could have done a lot more with the character of Dana. You introduce her for like 4 or 5 minute scene a week or two ago. And then it's like, okay, she's going to be a spy. Fine. And she gets the bulk of the screen time this episode. She gets a lot of screen time. But we never really get to dive into her motivations, what drives the character, why she's doing what she's doing. We know she's aligned with, Mother Abigail and that crew. We know she's here to find out what's going on with Randall Flagg. She attempts to kill him. But we don't really know who she is. You understand what I mean? Like, we get a lot of her, but I don't understand the character. Why are you so devoted to Mother Abigail? Why is it that you were willing to take your life in order to keep the secret at the end? I don't feel that I don't feel that she had a real arc.
We never got to know the character. We never really got to know the character. You're absolutely right about that, and that is the issue. We have this character making this sacrifice that we're focused on, and we don't really have any background except for, like you said, that one sort of 5-minute scene. We've never even seen her in this show, and yet she makes this major sacrifice. You don't grow to love the character, hate the character, what have you, and it's less significant because you've only seen the character once before for a very short period of time and never learned anything about their personality.
Well, it makes you not care. You have this big dramatic thing. She sacrificed herself. She did all this for the good of the community. And why? They've set it up to where they show that there are small pockets of people and there's not a whole lot of people left. So these people willing to sacrifice themselves for the greater good without a baseline or without a story or without a backstory of these characters, it feels fake. It feels like it's just poorly thrown in there as opposed to developed. And that's been our gripe pretty much this whole time, is they haven't spent any time developing these sub characters that we're supposed to care about, and then they kill them off or they do something shitty and we still don't care because we haven't built that relationship with any of the characters.
She should have had this story, and they have more time. They've stretched it out a little bit, in certain areas they are stretching it out, and then other areas they're rushing. I think you could have given her another episode of her infiltration of the organization, maybe some flashbacks of. I mean, I've been complaining about the structure, but if a character ever needed a flashback, it was her. Um, find out why she was so ready to, like you said, to take her own life in order to not give up Tom, basically. Even in the exchange with her and Randall Flagg, she never really got an understanding of what it was he was going to do or try to do. Yes, she saw what he was, and I could understand that freaking you out, but no more than, having dreams of Mother Abigail and knowing that that was real too. Okay, these are two forces that are, supernatural, and but I felt it was a wasted opportunity because it seemed like the actress was doing the best of what she could with the script. She was giving it her all in every scene she was in, but I didn't.
They didn't give her anything to work with.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's the sort of thing where even the scene with Randall Flagg, I feel was flatter than it needed to be because she didn't have much to work with, and neither did he. There were no past things that we've seen that he could have played off of, that he could have tried to exploit in that conversation. So you kind of wasted Randall Flagg. You showed that he knew, but you didn't give us a chance to see him even tempt her with anything like he does with most characters, or mention anything from her past or any fears or anything.
Well, and that's the thing too. You set up Randall Flagg, and they've done a pretty decent job making him show how powerful he is.
His Nadine interactions are pretty good.
But that's what I'm saying. They have these great interactions with other characters, but then this one fell more flat. And I think that my biggest issue with that is it's not just editing. I don't think that she had a story. There's parts where Nadine, you knew that she was, and this isn't even just because, we've seen it 30 years ago. You knew that she was aligned with Randall Flagg, but then they kind of show it, but then they rush forward and it goes from, it's happening and it's kind of shown to full blown, she kills people, and it's too rushed. Like the whole thing seems very rushed, and I don't know why. Like you said, Brian, they've have a much longer format, yet in a previous rendition of this, it does not feel like this. It doesn't feel rushed. It didn't feel, the story was well fleshed out, and now they have more time, and it feels more rushed. It doesn't make any sense for it to feel that way.
I mean, I don't know. It feels like maybe even I could believe that this show was perhaps planned and of course filmed and planned before the pandemic, but once the pandemic happened, they were like, maybe a lot of the early stuff is a little depressing. How about we re-edit this? This it just feels odd. So maybe this was an edit that they made of the show due to the pandemic to sort of make the beginning of this a little less depressing, which is why we're flashing forward and back, and maybe things just got cut weird. I doubt
possible. I know COVID's affected pretty much every production in the last year or so. It could have been affected. I don't know that for sure, but maybe.
I see what you're saying, Larry. I don't disagree. I disagree with them needing to do that. There's shows that have basically swept the pandemic under the rug, like it never existed. And then there's shows where, and then there's shows that the characters are wearing masks and face shields and shit. So it's been portrayed both ways. So for them to feel the need to do that, to me, is an unnecessary thing. But I didn't cut the show or direct it or anything. So clearly, if that's the route they did it, I feel like they shouldn't have had to feel that way.
Same here. I absolutely agree with that. But that's just the only possibility I can think of why it just feels so disjointed, and yet all the acting's so good. It seems like there was a lot of hard work put into this, and they can really draw you in certain scenes, and yet it feels like there's a lot missing, and it feels like just the edit is weird, and it feels like there's so much that we're not getting that we should get from this show, and that's the only way I can reason around it. Is it has to be that or something.
Oh, it's a good explanation.
Yeah.
I'm saying that, like you said, I don't feel that they needed to do that. I feel like that is a possibility of why they did it, but
Right.
And I think it's hurting. We're seeing it in and even in our comment section, a massive drop off. This was a show that some people were, had a little conversations early in the early episodes, but we're not really seeing that now. And I'm thinking a lot of people are stopping watching it. I know someone who was watching it and they did stop and they said they were going to wait for it to be finished. And so I think it might be turning people off. I see the other reviews. I see the scores are very low for the last couple episodes. And yeah, it's just disappointing. We're at that point where it's a little disappointing because I'm going to go into things I loved about the episode here in a second. But yeah, I hate that this is where we're at with it.
Same. Couldn't agree more.
But I think we've talked about it too, whether or not this would have been one of those shows that was better if it just all came out at once. And I think that at the end of it will be the truest testament to that, whether or not it was, meant to be done that way or whether or not it was just shit. I don't know.
So moving on plot wise, a little bit more of Mother Abigail this week. Yet again, a little bit disjointed, but she's mad at Nick because she feels, she's on this quest, this holy quest, and yet he's sort of doing his own thing, and she feels that it's going to cost them dearly. And we have a scene where she's talking with Joe, very simple scene about the piano and music. And then her final scene where she's praying because she's basically asking for guidance and help. A wolf confronts her, and then she's gone. Where did she go? And that is the story of Mother Abigail this week. It was fine. The scene, Whoopi Goldberg, she was fine in it. But any thoughts on her scenes this week?
Not really. I just thought it. Once again, that felt like a way for them to try to give the show some sort of direction. But to me, it was not well done. If they were trying to allude to, Randall basically taking her out because he saw an opportunity, because they've said that they've shown him with the wolf several times. So I think that wolf is a tool of Randall's, but I don't know if it killed her or, in this version, what it means. But that mystery, which is what I think they were trying to do, is give us some kind of thing to grab us at the end of this episode so that we'll tune in next week. I don't give a shit enough about it for that to be the thing that's drawing me back.
Yeah, same here because I think I know what that is from. Well, I think we all do from the original. We have an idea what it could be, but it seems like because that scene, certainly if it's a scene, I think it didn't happen that way in the original, and
no, it didn't.
And it's the sort of thing where it's like, okay, yeah, we're trying to give you an extra mystery here. It's like, or you could have given us it as it is, or you could have given us a different mystery, or you could have just, I don't know, structured this a little better, and people still would have tuned in, because the original Stand, we've mentioned this before. How many times back in the day did you watch that miniseries? You've seen it countless times. So if you just do it right, that's fine. You don't have to add in a mystery that, if it plays out as expected, isn't really even a mystery to the original fans. And like Spencer said, the way they played it, my thought was when they were like, "Oh, she's just gone." I was like, I don't care. Just tell me what happened.
Yeah, this episode had a lot of little changes, and some of them I was like, okay, I see why they did it or what it's going to do, and then some of them I was like, yeah, I don't know. But that was definitely one of them. To me, this episode, the two characters that I enjoyed the most, that I was like, you know what, these characters this episode, they're giving them something to do, and that was Harold and Nadine. More so Harold. But let's talk about Nadine real quick, because we finally dig into the idea that, okay, here's a character who has been manipulated her whole life since she was 12 by Randall Flagg, and so she's been sort of part of his little cult, his little crew, and now she's questioning that. And then there's the whole idea of Stephen King and his, he loves this kind of shit, but the idea of virginity and it being tied to power and all these different things, and she wants Larry to sleep with her in order to break the I guess spell, if you will, control, however you want to word it, with
what an awful time did Larry take to be a virtuous person.
That whole scene, I was like, damn. And we'll get into what he was up to for that. But point being, if you go through the stages of her character, and even go back in the previous episodes, and you sort of lay it all out, you're like, okay, there's an arc here. I see the story. I know, I see what they're doing. Is it perfect how they're doing it? No, but at least I somewhat am starting to understand the character a little bit more.
Right. Well, yeah,
because they're taking their time.
And it's one of those things, and we really should have let up, I think, into Nadine being maybe a little more skeptical about these things and building to the Nadine we have now. But it's just instead of just going, yeah, she's evil, she's always been evil, and she shoots this guy without remorse. We never built to that person who could do the things that she's done. We just were left with this, and I hate to complain about the structure. So, instead of talking about that, I'm just going to go into how I feel about Harold and his scenes, because I think y'all know how I feel about Nadine at this point. But Harold is the only thing that's, character and, like his story arc and everything. Harold is the thing that's done right in this series, I'd say. Like you've mentioned, he's got more screen time. He is definitely his character, and you can see how the type of person he started as leads to the type of person that he is, and the things that he's capable of doing. So the places they're going with him are great, and kind of, it works. He's not a great guy, of course, but it works for the character, and it very much contrasts what we're getting with the other characters.
Well, it's like we've talked about it. They've built his character, and it's not necessarily that he's been the focus of a whole lot of episodes. I think that they just spend a little bit of time at each episode kind of going into what he's doing, why he's doing it, how he's feeling. And if they would have done any of that with Dana, just a little bit in each episode, what happened with Randall would have been a bigger deal. And we praise Harold, and that actor does I don't know if it's just his face or what, but that is a creepy looking dude.
Yes, he is great.
But between him and Stu, to me, are the reasons that I've enjoyed watching the show. Randall's done a great job, the actor has, but to me, it's been hit or miss. But that depends on the storyline, whether or not it's mattered to me or not.
Yeah, and that's a good point, I think, because how well Randall Flagg's performance comes across seems to be heavily dependent on how much they've worked with the characters that he's interacting with, and who he's interacting with that's the problem. The actor overall, he's doing a good job, and they seem to be writing Randall Flagg himself well enough. It's just who he's interacting with, and it's reflective of those characters and those previous issues we just mentioned. And I'm glad you mentioned Stu too, because Stu is another character that we definitely got enough time to see that build up with Stu. But those would be your main two characters that we have that are that I have no gripes about: Stu and Harold, and not even really Randall Flagg. With Randall Flagg, as mentioned, it's everybody else that's the issue.
Yeah, because Harold's journey, and it's just weird that whoever the guy, I don't know, I forget the showrunner, but he clearly likes the character because he's giving him so much to do, and all of his scenes seem to matter. And in the course of this episode, one of the things that I thought was really cool was you think he's being played, right, throughout the whole episode. Nadine's sort of controlling him. Franny thinks that she knows he's up to something. She sends Larry to break into his house and spy on him. and you have all this stuff going on. But when you get to the end of the episode, you realize he's playing everyone else. He's the evil guy. He's the bad guy. Like Nadine has been manipulated her whole life. Lloyd is just a piece of trash loser. Harold is a bad guy. Legitimately, he's a coward. He's creepy. He's a stalker. He's hates resentful. His family. He's resentful. He despised his family. He's glad they're dead. He hated his sister. He was jealous. And he's taken all this hate, and he's truly sort of embracing the idea of what Randall Flagg represents, and he's taking that and he's playing people. And the scene where we find out he has the cameras and he's laughing, he knew Larry broke in, and he's smiling at the end. Now I know exactly where his story is going, but I do find it interesting that the showrunner has chosen Harold to sort of prop up as sort of almost the central figure of the series. He is a main character, I don't deny that, but I think they could have spaced out and given some other characters some time, you know.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing too. Like in earlier episodes, I believe we had Randall Flagg in Harold's vision, promising him the right hand position, the same way that he did to Lloyd. And we're seeing a lot of those qualities you'd expect Lloyd to have in Harold. You know, which is
it feels like it. Honestly, Harold has sort of become both of those characters in a way. Lloyd is almost a throwaway so far in this show.
Right.
But see, that to me would have been better. If they wanted to go more into certain characters, just basically get rid of some of them. They didn't have to tell the story the exact same way. They could have done away with, 3 or 4 of the main characters and then just kept the core and then gone that direction. Like you said, have Harold absorb a couple of the characters. To me, that would have been better than what they're doing.
And it would have made, it would have been so much better, because the person that Lloyd is not a person that Randall Flagg needs. And because of that, Randall Flagg wouldn't give a crap about Lloyd. Randall Flagg would almost have delighted in watching him die in prison. And that's the only reason he would have stopped by for this character. If he's not competent in any way, if you can't really use him to lead these people, the Lloyd we have here is not anyone that seems to be able to actually lead in any capacity.
I would have cut him the way they're doing this. Yeah, I agree. I would have almost cut him out. I mean, we'll. I mean, there's a couple. There's more episodes. We'll see what they do. But just based on this, I'm like, what's the point?
Yeah, because Randall Flagg, the way he manipulates is because he has a use, and there doesn't really seem to be a use for this version of Lloyd. The thing with Nadine, it's like, oh, okay, well, she'll be accepted in this community with these people. She'll spy and run reconnaissance, etc. He doesn't actually care about making him his wife or her virginity or any of that, which is where she's wrong. If Larry had slept with her, Randall Flagg just would have been like, so do the thing I want, because that's what he actually cares about. And, which is why this version of Lloyd just doesn't fit, because he doesn't just want corrupt and evil people. He wants, he has a plan that he needs people to execute. And I don't really see how Lloyd fits into that well. At least not this version of him.
Yeah, I don't either. And that's what I'm saying. If you can piled some characters instead of building them the way they did, you would get rid of the necessity to have them. Like you said, Lloyd isn't a leader. So having him be the leader of this dysfunctional group of people who are literally just, there was a scene like at the beginning where they showed the Vegas where it's like some guy's getting a favor, and then right next to that is somebody getting chopped up with a chainsaw. So those kind of people with those kind of morals and values, do you really think that they're going to respect Lloyd or anything that he has to do or say?
Yeah, exactly. Now, if we had them essentially leaderless, with the exception of Randall Flagg, who has led them there, and he's been talking up Harold, this whole time, and then Harold, executes their plan, and he arrives, and they're chanting his name when he gets there, and he's getting the same sort of celebration, from this, like on the nose, allegory for Sodom and Gomorrah, that we saw that Lloyd got. Then in that particular scene, yeah, you've established that, oh yeah, they know what he's done, that he destroyed Colorado. They respect him as a leader. He's shown some competence. Randall Flagg not only can use him in the moment that he's using him, but could use him to literally run that settlement. Like it would make some sense. Lloyd, on the other hand, anybody could have been Lloyd. Like other guy, the coked up guy that was holding up the gas station with Lloyd could have been Lloyd.
The woman that was choosing who does what job when Tom got to New Vegas, I'm like, she could have put her in charge.
Oh yeah, she would have been a much more competent Lloyd.
It's like than Lloyd.
That was funny.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, put her. She could run it. Or the guy that came in and was like, well, no, you got to take him. It's part of the rules. That guy. I was like, why don't he could be in charge?
Yeah, her character was great. I love like you said, the woman at the front desk, like, because she's a character that I could see, like even in Vegas, she could have been in Vegas or she could have been in Colorado, to be honest, because she doesn't seem evil. She just thinks like she seems like she's doing a job and she's not satisfied with it.
Well, it's like she comes to this new, supposedly this, New Vegas, supposed to be like New Eden, whatever. And the job she's assigned is that the worst job ever.
Randall Flagg's been putting these visions in her head and everything like everybody else, and she's come there willingly because it alludes to that everybody's come here willingly, that is made a citizen of New Vegas, and it's like he's like, I need someone to run HR.
That's like, oh, fine.
Yeah. So let's talk briefly about Tom. He was in the episode. He did make it to New Vegas. He's put on the cleanup crew for the Gladiator games. So he's, when all the dead bodies, he cleans them up. Randall Flagg is unable to see Tom. Randall Flagg sees a lot. He's very powerful. He saw the other two spies, but he cannot see Tom, and he's confused as to why, and that does play into the story later. I won't go into that, but Tom is given a note that says "run" by Dana. At this point, she's basically telling him to get the hell back to Colorado. That's about all I have to say. The actor's still doing a fine job for what he's doing, but that's it.
I love Tom. You talk about characters who they've done a good job developing. He's one of them too. I think they've done a great job with Tom, but I think that going into the whole storytelling aspect of it, they left that as a mystery. But I think that they should have done a little bit more build up to that mystery as to why Randall can't see him.
I think they'll go. I could be wrong. I think they're going to go into that, but
I imagine that's going to be a focal point. It almost has to be, because for them to mention it and then not bring it up would be. Well, I mean, they've done piss poor at other parts, so who knows? But I think that with them doing it that way, that would be more of a mystery for me. But he just basically mentioned it in conversation, and then they tried to make you care about Dana dying. They should have spent more time focusing on why he can't see Tom, even if it was like another minute, just a short little conversation, a little bit longer, and then either have her make it through this episode and then die at the beginning of next episode or something. But like you said, have a flashback when he showed her killing the truck driver. He could have showed that flashback and then showed another flashback to kind of build her character a little bit more, and then have her make it through this episode and then die next week.
Dude, wouldn't it have been great if she walked to the elevator? Because they all were like, "Oh, you're in trouble," and she's like, "Randall said, Mr. Flagg would like for you to take me to my room now." You know what I mean? There could have been a great buildup where it kept going. Yeah, and Randall Flagg is still messing with her and trying to figure it out. And then I was so frustrated with it. I'm like, what the hell? Why?
Well, yeah, because at first, at least, it seemed with this episode that we were going to get a lot of her character, because it looked, with the setup and the intro to New Vegas and everything, it looked like they were trying to tempt her first, to get her to perhaps show her what this society has. And I thought, like you said, we'd get a little more time with that, with him, just him trying to exploit any sort of weakness or or any insecurity or any wants that she has, but we didn't get a whole lot of that.
Well, on that note, Spencer, we did some texting about it when we were watching. What did you guys think about the show going from an R-rated series, it is, to a hard R-rated series in one episode? I mean, it was some of it. I was like, holy shit! I mean, I was curious to how they were going to portray New Vegas. I was like, well, they got freedom; they can do whatever they want, and they definitely went for it.
Yeah, they did. You know?
I liked it, not just because, for obvious reasons, but like to me, it built Dana's character, the one with the shotgun, showing that she's also manipulating Lloyd. So for her to basically bring in, it wasn't Dana. What's the other girl's name? Did they ever say it?
The blonde. I didn't even care to look it up.
I know the actress's name is Catherine McNamara, but
Lloyd's sort of girlfriend.
Yeah, but even her, she's using him because she wasn't even trying to have sex with him. She wasn't trying to do anything with him. She was trying to manipulate him. So she's giving him drugs. She's giving him all kinds of stuff. And, knowing that it's going to keep him from being able to do anything. And so she's manipulating him, using that as a weapon against him. And he's falling for it every time. And that goes back to what we were saying about Lloyd being such a dumbass. Like, it's...
Well, yeah, even saying Randall Flagg, it turns him off, and he's unable to perform in the bed, and it's like, oh, whatever, man. And that whole scene I was just like, what's the point? What was the point of this scene? Like, what was the point of any of this? I mean, yes, you have two very, very attractive women in very little clothing. And, okay, I get it. I get all that. And, that, great. But there was no point. What was the point of the scene? I guess maybe to show that Dana was willing to, she was fully committed to being undercover and doing whatever she had to do. And I guess that was the point of the scene.
I think it was more to show what Catherine McNamara's character was willing to do. Like, she is, to me, she's the one pulling the strings in that. And I don't remember her really from the original. I don't know what character she is, but I think that in this version, she's going to be way more important than Lloyd is, and they're trying to feed us those tidbits.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing, with Dana and everything, we didn't get. Well, I put it this way: we didn't get a good understanding of why they sent her, unless the 5-minute scene with the truck scene where she kills the guy was their reasoning. If that was their sole reason for sending her, they didn't. Well, they shouldn't be in charge, honestly.
Well, it was more so not only that, but my issue was her loyalty.
Yeah,
so unwavering. Strong. I'm like, why?
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm getting at too, because it doesn't show, like you said, why she's so loyal to their cause. The fact that she killed that guy, that was a do or die situation, and she killed a guy, and that's one point for maybe why you should send her, but it doesn't show that she's particularly loyal to the team, or that she's gotten very fond of everyone in this settlement, or that she's displayed any set amount of skills that says, hey, she should be the one to do this.
Yeah, it doesn't. To me, if they would have showed a couple scenes with her and Mother Abigail bonding or talking, kind of like they did with Joe. Mother Abigail and Joe were, having a couple moments. If they would have done that, then I would have understood. But it's like they cut that part out or something.
That's all they needed. On it, yeah, you're 100% right, Spencer. Just give me a couple scenes with her and Mother Abigail. And showing me where that connection was made and why. Yeah, that's literally all they had to do.
Or you get a scene where some disingenuous early settlement stuff, where they get some disingenuous people that show up, and she befriends them, and just kind of outs their intentions early on, and it's like, oh, okay, she's good in integrating with people, and just sort of figuring out who they are, and she's got people skills. Like, we know when it comes down to it, she can do what has to be done if necessary. Just anything that showed that she was the type of person that's capable of running the type of reconnaissance that they're trying to run.
Or mention, hey, weren't you this in the army or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I think we said it the last couple of weeks. It's a show that is rushed and at the same time not. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like it's a weird, I don't even know. Structurally, it's a weird ass show.
And that's the primary thing that hurts it above all else.
So yeah, anything else about this week's episode of The Stand?
No, I can't think of nothing. not that's positive or any new feeling. It's like I like certain characters and I hated other ones. So it's not.
Yeah, I think that's it for me.
Cool. So yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Check out our WandaVision review. It's up for the first 2 episodes. We'll be reviewing that every single week. We will be sticking with The Stand, even though we're there's like 4 left. So screw it. We'll keep going. A lot of other shows. Big Sky should be returning here in about a week. Your Honor, which is hands down the best thing I think we're watching right now. We'll be doing that every Sunday evening. And 30 Coins, which has been great.
I was going to say, as much as I like Your Honor, 30 Coins, dude.
30
Oh,
Coins.
they're killing it. Yeah.
And loving that show. So, yeah, definitely look out for those reviews as well. Lots of other content coming. Video content is a month or so away. We're going to be getting back into doing video. Not for everything, but, a few here and there. So, yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, I also wanted to mention, because I did mention it's hilarious, I'm going to mention to both of you and our audience, if you have not watched Warrior yet,
yes,
watch Warrior.
I got to get into that.
It is fucking amazing.
Have you
It's on
talked
HBO Max. It's a Cinemax show that they ported over to HBO Max. I think I texted him about it, but
yeah, is there going to be another season of that?
there's
or
already
is the
2
show...
seasons right now.
Well, yeah,
It
yeah.
just ended. It ended in December. So I don't know if they're doing a 3rd season. I'm only about 6 episodes in, but it is Bruce Lee's vision taking place in the late 1800s of the Chinese immigrating into San Francisco. And it's about all I can say without giving the entire plot points away. It's pretty fucking amazing. And all the fight scenes are incredible.
So is there a lot of kung fu in this? Is it like...
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, highly recommended from Spencer. He's been talking about it for several days now. It's just Warrior. That's what it's called. Yep. Yeah, it's on Warrior. HBO Max. It is a Cinemax show, but 2 seasons are on HBO Max. So if you are subscribed to that, definitely check that out. Highly recommended by Spencer. Martial Arts Extravaganza. I plan on starting it this weekend, and maybe we'll do a video on it. Let us know if you're interested in that. So thanks for listening, and
bye.
Bye.